Thanks, Senator Mason. Senator Siewert.
Mr Acting Deputy President, I rise to make a contribution to this motion and strongly believe that this is an unfair budget, that it is based on broken promises. No, we're not going to have an impact on people with disability. No, we won't reduce pensions. No, we won't increase, make all sorts of cuts to Medicare. Who was Medicare's best friend? That's right, that used to be the opposition leader when the Prime Minister was the opposition leader. He was supposed to be Medicare's best friend. What a load of nonsense. This budget is unfair. It is based on broken promises and twisted priorities. Twisted priorities to the extent where they are picking on the most disadvantaged in our community. And not only are they doing that they're not doing that unknowingly, they are doing it on purpose, because they got the figures that showed that the greatest impact from this budget would be on those that can least afford it. And even if we didn't get those figures, we would know that, because you only have to sit through or read through the budget and then sit through day after day of Senate committee hearings into these measures to know that these are unfair and that they're twisted. What sort of government picks on the most vulnerable in its community? An unfair government that has twisted priorities. Why pick on the most vulnerable? Why bring in measures that you know will hurt the most disadvantaged? Because that's exactly what they're doing. Last week I sat through a day and a half of inquiries into the government's two social security bills that bring in over 20 measures that unfairly pick on the most disadvantaged. Now you've got to look at it and you've got to say, is the government so bad at policy that they couldn't work this out? Are they such bad policymakers that they didn't do 101 in politics and look at the impacts of their measures? Did they do that? Or did they know? Did they know that they were picking on the most disadvantaged? And it's probably a combination of both, to be fair, because it is bad policy. But we know now, they know the figures, they know they're picking on the most disadvantaged. So it's bad policy because it's actually going to have the most significant consequences and perverse outcomes on the people that they're picking on. Young, unemployed people under the age of 30. As somebody said in the inquiry last week, emphatising 30-year-olds. They're not youth anymore. They are not. And yet this is the way the government's treating them. They're assuming perhaps that they'll be living at home with mum and dad. But of course these are people that are many of them probably left home, and many of them are from already disadvantaged backgrounds. And dropping them onto no income support is actually going to make them even more disadvantaged. They're going to lose their rent assistance. So here you have young people who have been struggling to get their life back on track. They haven't been able to. They're on income support. They haven't been, some of the people we're talking about have managed to put their life back on track, find accommodation, get rent assistance, and as soon as they lose income support, they're going to lose that rent assistance, dumping them into homelessness again, providing another barrier to employment. This is just one of the measures that the social security bills attack. Then we've got indexation on people with disability, on aged pensioners and on single parents, because we need to have yet another go at single parents. Twisted priorities, yes. We have already seen single parents dumped onto New Start by the Howard government and by the Gillard government. We've seen their pensioners' education supplement taken away and then fortunately given back, but it's going to be taken away again, including education pairs. The pension education supplement's also going to be taken away from people with disabilities. Those are the people the government seems to think don't want to work. Those are the people, 17,000 people are accessing that payment so that they can improve their qualifications, so they can find work, the very thing this government says is one of their priorities. Broken promises in terms of lowering the indexation on pensions. $80 a week impact that will have on a pensioner. You go for the most disadvantaged.
Thank you, Senator Siewert.